Straight Talk, debunking the myth that Falun Gong is anti-China. Greetings and welcome to another episode of Straight Talk about Falun Gong. I have seen many people and organizations make the claim that Falun Gong is anti-China. But there are a few things about this claim that seem amiss, even on the surface. Falun Gong was originally introduced in China in 1992 by Mr. Li Hongji, a Chinese-born citizen. It would make no sense for him to take an anti-China stance when many police officers and government officials, including all 7 members of the Politburo, were themselves practicing Falun Gong. If Mr. Hongji did in fact take an anti-China stance at that time, he would have been arrested or asked to leave the country, and no CCP government official would have dared to join the rank of Falun Gong practitioners. So, obviously Mr. Hongji was never anti-China. Some people claim that once the CCP began brutally persecuting Falun Gong, Mr. Hongji's attitude changed, so it was natural for him to be anti-China. This could only be true if one erroneously equates China with the CCP. China has been around for more than 5,000 years, and the CCP has been around for only 100 years or so. The reason people confuse this matter is because the CCP has instilled in people's minds, since birth, that the CCP is China and China is the CCP. This leads to the logical conclusion, in Chinese citizens' minds, that if someone attacks or disparages the CCP leadership, they are in fact attacking or disparaging China. Of course, nothing could be further from the truth, as the CCP has only been ruling China for a short time. The CCP is safeguarding its very existence by eliciting the support and loyalty of all Chinese people, even abroad, whenever the CCP's evil actions and policies are brought to light. This ensures that the Chinese people will not only defend the CCP when it is being attacked, because they think the CCP equals China, but will also attack fellow countrymen who attack the CCP. This was especially evident during the Cultural Revolution and all other failed social movements kick-started by the CCP and its minions, i.e. Red Guards. Really, it is an act of brilliant deception and trickery on the CCP's part to get the Chinese people to equate China with the CCP, because as we can see, most Chinese people have fallen prey to the CCP's psychological shenanigans. In an article titled "The Communist Party Claims to Have Brought Prosperity and Equality to China," here's the real impact of its rule, which appeared on the Conversation.com website. The article was published on June 30, 2021, the same week the CCP was in full swing to prepare for the 100th anniversary of its founding, with an intense publicity push to brag about its achievements. Now, I will begin reading directly from the article. However, the CCP has little to celebrate in terms of what it has done for China. Its chief achievement has been how it has managed to survive and stay in power for so long. So, what exactly does the CCP lay claim to, and where does the truth lie? Number 1. Chinese sovereignty. The top claim on the list is that the CCP unified the country and secured its independence through the founding of the People's Republic of China in 1949. The CCP had accused the previous government, led by the Chinese Nationalist Party (KMT), of being a puppet of the imperialist US. But China had been a completely independent country on all counts before the CCP seized power by force from the nationalists. Number 2. Economic prosperity. The CCP also boasts of its economic achievements, claiming it unleashed China's potential and turned it into an economic superpower. But industrialization and urbanization had been well underway before the CCP took power. Despite successive wars, the infrastructure for modern cities, transport, industries, commerce and finance was being established across much of the country. Shanghai, for instance, was already a sophisticated metropolis in the 1930s, known as the Paris of the Orient. Chinese citizens, including peasants, also enjoyed full property rights under the modern legal system created by the government of the Republic of China, as well as the right to establish and operate free enterprises. All of these accomplishments were destroyed by the CCP, which confiscated private property, eliminated entire classes of urban capitalists and rural landlords, and wasted opportunities for economic growth for 3 lost decades before returning China to a semi-market economy in the 1980s. Number 3. Eradicating poverty. The CCP and its supporters take particular delight in their claim the party lifted hundreds of millions of Chinese out of poverty. Earlier this year, in 2021, in fact, President Xi Jinping trumpeted a complete victory in the CCP's goal of eradicating rural poverty, a drive some analysts say was not cost-effective or sustainable. While it is true abject poverty has declined sharply in recent decades, it must be remembered that failed CCP policies condemned millions of people to poverty in the first place. The CCP should never be forgiven for its crime of killing up to 45 million people through the Great Leap Forward campaign, which led to the worst man-made famine in Chinese history. And according to different poverty measurements now used by the World Bank, there are still potentially hundreds of millions of Chinese still living beneath the poverty line. Number 4. Instituting a people's democracy. The CCP lays claim to the establishment of a people's democracy in China, or what Mao Zedong once described as a democracy for the people and a dictatorship for the enemy. But in reality, the party established a totalitarian state that interrupted China's march toward constitutional democracy. The Republic of China had been founded in 1912 and is frequently referred to as the first democratic republic in Asia. It had a modern legal system, vibrant civil society, largely free press, and autonomous schools and universities. Number 5. Socialism and greater equality. The CCP also talks about bringing socialism and greater equality to China, but it created the most brutal caste system against the 5 black categories during the Cultural Revolution, which resulted in the most appalling inequality. For 3 decades from the 1950s to the 1970s, millions of people were classified by the communist regime as landlords, rich farmers, counter-revolutionaries, bad elements and rightists. These people were routinely separated out for struggle sessions, a form of public humiliation, re-education through labor, beatings, and even execution. Many of their children were denied education and state employment. Furthermore, through a special household registration system during the Mao years, peasants and their children were registered as rural residents. They were permanently excluded from state welfare, employment, and schools in urban areas. This household registration system and the rural-urban divide still have serious consequences for rural residents and migrants to major cities today. The communist regime is also still using re-education camps in the Xinjiang region today as a method of rooting out what it considers threats to its power. 6. Protecting Chinese culture. Lastly, the CCP pretends to represent Chinese culture nowadays, but it rooted out traditional Chinese culture long ago. During the Mao years, the rural gentry and urban intelligentsia, the main defenders of Chinese traditional culture, were either eliminated or remolded in accordance with Communist Party state ideology. Campaigns were launched during the Cultural Revolution to systematically destroy the 4 olds deemed undesirable, namely 1. Old ideas, 2. Old culture, 3. Old habits, and 4. Old customs. The current promotion of Chinese culture by the Communist Party state is nothing more than a cynical move to exploit any opportunity to boost Chinese nationalism as a tool to provide legitimacy to the regime. There you have it, folks. The claim the Falun Gong is anti-China can be seen to be untrue, at best. In reality, Falun Gong is simply against the CCP's persecution of Falun Gong. The fact that some people twist this truth from front to back is very saddening. Of course, there are also those who were unknowingly duped by the CCP's lies, which is very understandable. Anyway, I trust that this video has cleared things up for you, completely debunking the myth that Falun Gong is anti-China, which of course it is not. Also, I hope you enjoyed watching this video as much as I enjoyed making it. Before you go, please take a brief moment to like and subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching. Straight